Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we're going to talk about the Orks in Warhammer 40k. Now you might think to yourself, are you just going to repeat all the rumours that have been floating around over the last couple of days after Varak put a video out about Ghazghkull coming back as a prime orc and us seeing new kits and all of that stuff? No, not really. To be honest, I think it's pretty much inevitable that Orks get some sort of attention because, well, let's face it, they're better off than Sisters of Battle have been, but they have their share, more than their fair share, I think, of outdated garbage like models lying around. They have way too much resin. I mean, they've even got metal shit still available, which is just baffling to me. Genuinely baffling. Like, how is that even still a thing? And whilst there are other races that do obviously need attention, I would suggest that perhaps actually having it so that Eldar don't have half their army selection still in resin, be nice for them to be replaced in plastic. Orks are not really in a good place when it comes to the overall age and presentation of their army. See, they have a really bizarre kind of just weird situation with Orks, whereby half of the stuff that they have looks okay. It looks pretty decent. You know, the newer models are pretty cool. The Mega Knobs are still a bit static, but they look alright. The Gorkanaut and the Morkanaut, I like the look of both of those. Battle Wagon is now getting on a bit, but it's still a pretty decent model overall. Things like the Flash Gits. I mean, the Flash Gits look quality, and there's so much customization there that when you take that stuff and you then look at other things that they have available, you kind of have to wonder what the fuck is going on and why it's taking so long for some of this stuff to be replaced. I mean, the best example for the kind of bizarre lack of attention that Orks have got has to be their basic troop choice, which of course is these lads. Now, these are Ork boys. This is the same kit that I bought when I played Orks, like literally over a decade ago. I'm pretty sure it is exactly the same kit. I still have bits left over from like a couple of boxes of these. I still have a couple of those spiky shoulder pads lying around. I still have at least 3 of these chain swords just lying around in different bits boxes. It is an old kit, and I'm going to be totally honest, the sculpts have not aged well. They don't look great. The Orks are supposed to be big and intimidating and almost the equal of a Space Marine in terms of just how hardy and tough they are. They don't look it. Somehow bits of the Ork army have become more serious, more realistic, and yet the bulk of what makes an Ork horde what it is has not changed for so long. It just baffles me slightly. How do you have an army which is built on the concept of, you know, a massive number of bodies, a huge number of enemies charging towards you, screaming at the top of the lungs, firing shots into the air like a bunch of hooligans, as Orks are, and yet still have the same troops kit that frankly has fallen behind in terms of looks compared to a lot of other stuff in that same army? Why? And the thing is, it's not just the boys. I mean, the boys are, I think, a very good indicator of the overall problem that the Orks have got. But there's so much stuff in the Ork range that flat out shouldn't be available anymore. It's so far below the quality that Games Workshop has become known for that I think it's genuinely kind of damaging to even have it on there. I mean, look at some of this stuff. Right, so we've got the boys. I mean, lads, what are you doing? What are you doing? Look at it. Look at that. It's so ancient. I mean, the design of the Orks on the war buggy and the war track, I mean, it's even more obvious than the war track, are not even the same. These do not look the same as the Ork boys that you can get. Like, their facial features, their general kind of style, compare that to that. It's like it's from a different game. It's genuinely like it's from a different game. And then, you know, it kind of stays bad. At least this guy is a bit closer to the actual design that Orks have now. But this is a metal model. That is a metal Ork Deathcopter. I mean, the Deathcopter for me is one of the most baffling things about the Orks, because I believe it was Assault on Black Reach, wasn't it, where they had a new design for Deathcopters that looked way better than that. They were single rotor jobs, single rotor in the middle, seat at the front, couple of rockets sticking out the front. Again, I think I might have some in the loft somewhere. Why was that? Why was that metal crappy? I mean, this is some Age of Sigmar looking shit. Why was that never replaced with the plastic Deathcopters you could get? I mean, the big man himself, Ghazghkull Thraka. He's still in resin. And he looks, I think he's in resin. Is he in resin or is he? Yeah, he is resin. I mean, I had the metal version of this, which is hilarious to put together. It didn't stay together, it just fell apart just every time. It was amazing. But this is like the face of the Orks. Ghazghkull Thraka is the most well-known Ork of all Orks. And he's resin, he's kind of dated, and somehow he costs the same as a mega boss from Age of Sigmar, which can be quite easily and quickly converted into a better looking Ghazghkull Thraka. That shouldn't be possible. Again, things like the Warbikers, yes, these are at least, I believe, a plastic kit. Yeah, they are. I just thought I'd double check that, because I really thought they were resin for a little bit. But again, these are, they're old designs. They're really old designs. The fact that I have that axe in my bits box from literal years and years and years ago. I mean, we're talking like, what, tail end of third, beginning of third, tail end of third? It's such an old kit, and I just, you know, you've got all these resin and metal and just ancient models. I mean, this chap, if you want to play an old war boss, well, this is your lad. This is your guy. And guess what he's available in? Metal. There was another version of this Ork. In fact, you know what? Let me see if I can find it. I found it. That was quick. That guy was made in plastic. Or at least a version of him was made in plastic. Where is that version now? I can tell you he was made in plastic. I can tell you that there is a version of that is very much close to being plastic anyway. Because look, I'm holding it right now. It's blurry and you can't see it properly, but look at that. Look at that. It has similar parts on it at the very least. It has the two guns. It has the shooter. It's got the totem pole. And yet, I've not been able to find this model on the Games Workshop site. Even though this model is that model, I've been unable to find it. I can find the really crappy metal one, but not this guy. Orks are so desperately in need of an update that I find myself just wishing that the rumours are true. I want to see new kits for everything. I want to see all of this crap replaced. You should not still be able to buy that. Like that shouldn't be available. That should just be not. It just should not be available. Look at it. It doesn't look good. And this is the thing that gets me with Orks. And this is the thing that I think is a overall issue with, I think, the Xenos races as a whole. They do not get the attention that the Imperial races do. No, that's not fair. They don't get the attention that Power Armor does. I'm just going to put it like that because, yes, we have had a lot of stuff for Space Marines. We have had a lot of stuff for the Adeptus Custodes. Imperial Guard have had the same infantry sprues for I don't know how long. The named regiments are still in resin or metal, I want to say some of them are as well. When it comes to the Xenos races, there is so much going on that shouldn't be going on. I mean, we've just seen the Ork range is half full of metal and resin, and yeah, some of them are plastic. There are, plastic bikes, there are plastic boys, as you'd expect, but they're old as hell. They don't look anywhere near as good as the newer versions of Orks. The boys don't look anywhere near as good as the Mega Knobs. They don't look anywhere near as good as the Flash Gits. I mean, Ghazghkull Thraka looks worse than the Big Mech. That shouldn't be possible. It's Ghazghkull, for God's sake. And it's not just confined to the Orks. There are, of course, as we mentioned, Eldar have a severe issue where they have a bunch of stuff that is still not in plastic, that looks dated, that looks old. I mean, some of the Phoenix Lords are terrible to look at. For me, though, the Orks have I guess just a very weird problem, in that at the very least, when I look at the Eldar range, which I think it's the best example of end of the range that has got a weird mix of new and old, where the old really does look dated and the new looks pretty damn good. The problem with Orks is that they have so much that's disappointing in their old range. They have so much that is so far dated. It's like it's so way back in the past that it was made, and yet it's supposed to be the core. If you're doing a Speed Freaks army, then bikes are kind of good, but the bikes look old as hell. If you're doing a full-on Green Tide, you need a load of boys, but the boys look kind of garbage. Eldar, whilst they do have a similar issue, I think can kind of get away with using the newer stuff, or the stuff that doesn't look quite as dated as the really old stuff, like the Phoenix Lords and so on. Orks, though, it's like someone got halfway through updating the Ork range and then went, "Oh, we've got other stuff to do. Oh shit, okay. Oh well, forget that then. We'll just move on to the next thing." How do you have a range that has the Gorkanaut and the Morkanaut, that has that battle wagon, that has the Flash Gits, that has the Big Mech? How do you have a range that has that stuff and still has the same troops available, like the same kit that it did like 15 years ago? How do you have something, frankly, as well and long lasting as the battle wagon, and still be selling a metal Deathcopter? How do you have the what are they called? Like the Met guns. How do you have these ridiculously over the top and frankly quality looking Met guns? How do you have that and yet still have that? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like it's worse for the Orks. It's so much worse for the Orks. And it's only now that we've had those rumours that have come out that have kind of made me go back and properly examine the range, and I'm pretty convinced they need more attention than I think any other range right now. A Lehman Russ is always going to look like a Lehman Russ. A Baneblade is always going to look like a Baneblade. A Sentinel is always going to look like a Sentinel. Yes, it would be nice to have some better troops choices, but frankly, at the moment, you can go to third-party sites and you can make some damn good Imperial Guard regiments without actually needing to step anywhere near Games Workshop. I don't really see that for Orks. I don't see any way where you can buy a whole, 50 strong squad of Orks from a third-party reseller, retailer. I just don't see those third-party bits that can be used on a mass scale the same as you can with Imperial Guard. At least with Eldar, you can go full jet bike, you can fill your army with Wraith stuff, and it'll look good. Your basis for an Ork army that's full of infantry is like a 15-year-old kit that looks dated. It looks 15 years old. Your basis from a Speed Freaks army is another 15-year-old kit that looks dated and looks 15 years old. They need this. They genuinely need it. Of all the armies, aside from Sisters of Battle, who are getting their shit anyway, there is no race to me that needs an overhaul, that needs an update, that needs a complete rework than the Orks, because they've been neglected to a ridiculous extent, while simultaneously receiving some of the most interesting and fun kits that you can get. How do you get the Flash Gits on there and still sell the Ork boys? It baffles me. I really hope that the rumours are true. I really do, because I've got a soft spot for Orks. I had a pretty sizable Ork force. Well, I had enough that I had a bunch of infantry and I had like a separate Speed Freaks army. I had a lot of Ork shit. They just deserve so much more. A lot of stuff in 40k deserves more, but Orks especially, they just deserve better, you know? I'm not really sure what conclusion I was hoping to draw for the end of this video. I guess I just wanted to talk about how disappointing it is that all of this shit is still on there, and to really hope that we see something cool. I guess that's all this was. I'll be interested to hear what you think. Do you think they need that much attention? Am I overreacting? Is it like, oh, it's not that bad? Or do you think it is kind of sucky that they've got so much old shit that just shouldn't be there? Do you think it's ridiculous that they're still selling metal Deathcopters when the Assault and Black Reach ones look decent? I mean, do you see the sense in selling the big gun cannon when you can get the mech gun stuff? Is it as ludicrous as I think it is to be selling Ghazghkull Thraka for £23.50? Like a Citadel Failcast model when you can get the Iron Jaws Mega Boss for 50p more and convert it to something that looks infinitely better. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be interested to hear what you think about this. The next one will be more cheerful, hopefully. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. There's the usual array of shit to click all over the screen. Couple of videos, Patreon, subscribe, all of that shit. Click it if you like. Don't click it if you don't want to. And I will see you for the next video. Toodaloo.